Greetings, Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. I just wanted to touch upon today the interview that Millie Gibson gave for the iPaper, particularly the articles over a year ago about Millie that was branding her a diva and that she was going to be replaced for Doctor Who Season 2. So, well, I say articles that were just basically tabloid guff, really, wasn't it? Which was utter nonsense then and still utter nonsense now. But I thought I'll just read a few snippets from the iPlayer. I'll put a link in the description for the full write-up because it is actually, to be fair, a really good write-up. It talks about Millie's upcoming drama, The Foresight, which is on Channel 5, and her time with Doctor Who, particularly the friendship that she built with Ncuti Gatwa and all extra acting credentials that she got from her time in Doctor Who, including stage fighting and dancing. The article starts off from Millie Gibson's time on Coronation Street. She was originally cast in a long-running soap for a handful of episodes at just the age of 14. The article states fame didn't really impact her much until she turned 18 and started going on nights out in Manchester city centre and became a little bit paranoid, kind of looking over my shoulder all of the time. If anything, being so well known in her home city, where Corrie is obviously filmed, overprepared her for her Doctor Who fame, stating I was literally leaving the house like, come on everyone, come on and approach me, she remembers as the day after her casting announcement. Somewhat surprisingly, Gibson said she never felt as famous from Doctor Who as she did when she was on Corrie, or Coronation Street, but the show brought her so much else, namely her friendship with Ncuti Gatwa, who she confirms is probably the most charismatic person you will ever meet, and made her up my game. She says, I think he makes me a better actor. Watching him become the Doctor, I felt like I had the front row seat of witnessing greatness. Yes, I can certainly see that with Millie Gibson's time on Doctor Who. I think she did a fantastic job in the role of Ruby Sunday. Particularly, I really liked the scene from Dot and Bubble. How Ruby was talking to Lindy Pepper Bean. It's a very short scene, but really I just liked the acting style and just the way that she approached the dialogue for that scene. And yeah, it just grew from strength to strength, particularly in the reality war. I would say that Ruby Sunday was probably more prominent in season 2 than poor Belinda Farada Sethu. But back to this article, fans and critics compared the 15th Doctor and Ruby's playful platonic dynamic to that of Eccleston's Ninth Doctor and Billie Piper's Rhodes Tyler. In fact, the comparisons were so blatant that Davis insisted Gibson chopped her hair into a short bob, lest she looked a bit too much like Billie. You can spot the similarities in the characters' two young blonde women from working class backgrounds. Yeah, I didn't know this one, and yeah, how true this is. It doesn't really go into too much detail. It sort of concentrates on the sort of the tabloid guff that sort of came out a year or two ago, last year. So yeah, there's an interesting one whether that's sort of fully true or not. And if it is true, I kind of get probably where RTD or the production team was going for if it is true. But you did recruit a young blonde lady, and she does have a very different face to Billie Piper's. So yeah, I don't think it needed that sort of dramatic sort of changing hairstyle. Handling this increased scrutiny as the just turned 19-year-old was a whole other ballgame. Gibson learned when a tabloid report emerged in the summer of 2023 claiming that she had been acting like a diva behind the scenes. She didn't comment on the claims at the time, not when the allegations first emerged, nor when the new reports half a year later claimed that she had been dropped from the show before her first series could even air. That wasn't the case. Gibson had known that she was coming back for series 2 or season 2 when the Diva reports came out. Unfortunately, revealing this would have jeopardized the series' tightly wrapped plots, putting her in a tough position where she wasn't able to speak up and defend herself. Stating, I couldn't be like, it's a lie, because they'd be like, well, that's spoilers, she says. It was quite hard to stand up for myself without ruining the show. I was like, oh, this is horrific, because it just looks like it's true. It must have been pretty unpleasant reading this about herself at such a young age. Millie replies, "Oh, it was awful," she says, with an obvious pain in her voice. What was frustrating was the amount of people that were like, "Oh, sorry that this happened, mate," referring to her inaccurately reported removal from the show. And I was like, yeah, it's not happened, but thank you. If she took anything away from the experience, it was the way those close to her rallied her in private. Gaffer, who faced his own negative attention when he was cast as the Doctor, was a particular comfort, with Millie saying he had his time with that and it was just about just being able to try and shut it out. These tabloid gutter trash is always going to be here. It shouldn't, in my opinion, but it's just going to be there until the end of time. But like I said, it really shouldn't. But I have to admire Millie's maturity in dealing with that because, yeah, it can play with your mind, and you see this time and time again for not only just young actresses, young actors, entertainment industry as a whole. You look at the recent Boyzone documentary for a huge example in terms of what the press did to them during their time as a very popular pop group. Reality show stars, yes, obviously you can make the argument of, but they wanted the fame and the fortune, yes, but they're still human beings. They still need to be looked after. I think there should always be some kind of like a mental health aftercare team for any of this, because for me, I don't see any of it. You look back on shows like the Jeremy Kyle show or X Factor or Britain's Got Talent. There's no aftercare at all. It is just you are thrusted into a whole world, and as much as you try and prepare yourself, you just can't. And just seeing this happen time and time again to young actors and actresses and everyone else from the entertainment industry is very sad to see, and you can see why some go off the rails and go into a very dark place. But in terms of the Millie Gibson tabloid rubbish from a year or two ago, it was nice to hear that Ncuti Gatwa was protecting her by her side with throughout all of this. It's a shame that the production team wasn't as supportive. I think they could have easily have made a statement. Whether they were allowed to or not, I don't know. This is obviously something that's not been forthcoming. Whether they've been told just to sort of let it lie and it will disappear. I think sometimes just tackling it head on might be better, and just saying that no, this is absolute nonsense. um and they don't need to go into sort of spoiler territory. All they could just say is Millie is a wonderful actress. She's been fantastic on her time of Doctor Who, and she's been a pleasure to work with. All of this is just absolute tripe. um but whether that's, I don't know if that's the press sort of, well, the production team playing the game with the press. I don't know. But I do think better support could be in place with Bad Wolf. Christopher Eccleston has certainly talked about this from his tenure 20 years ago, and how he was very protective of Billie Piper, who definitely got a lot of stick for when she was announced as a companion for as Rose Tyler. So yeah, he was very aware of that and very protective of her, particularly when she was only 25 at the time, or definitely in her 20s. I do think for a show like Doctor Who, which promotes inclusivity and kindness and just that general feeling of there should be another way to be in this universe or in this universe, this should happen behind the scenes as well. That there should be better care for these tabloid rubbish, particularly for the likes of Millie Gibson. It's not fair, it's not needed, it's not necessary. But what do you think, my Whovians? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Facebook and X. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who related content on Timey Wimey Review TikTok and Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. And as the good doctor once said, laugh hard, run fast and be kind. Until we meet again.